Hey, Bigpod.
But
I heard you had some troubles earlier this week, and you decided that you were going to get around to fixing them, and that you got a story to tell us.
yeah, so I was working on something, and well, since I am now relying on Claude and company for help with coding, I was like, I wrote a prompt and executed it, like a wrong prompt. I think I was searching through a error log or something like that, and I got an error that Claude was down, the API for it.
Oh.
And then I went like, I hate that I do not know before I write something big like this, and then like start working on something else. When I look back, it just says the API was down. I want something to tell me that the API is down before I start writing such long prompts.
Okay, so when Claude came back up, did you fix that?
No.
Oh.
I opened a new VS Code window, and like a genius, I opened Claude and wrote another prompt, and then realized, oh yeah, Claude is down. So then I opened Codex and pasted in that same prompt and let it go to work. Now I have a notification system which sooner or later I'll be open sourcing, written in the most me way possible, which is overkill is underrated. It's gonna be notification infrastructure for all your notifications.
Okay. And is it only going to check like Claude, or is it going to check like the other agents as well? Like, is it going to check like
whatever you will want?
Oh, whatever we want. Oh.
It's gonna have webhooks, like receive information via webhook and send your notification. This, that, whatever you want. As long as it can do a webhook or some other system, you're gonna be able to get a push notification on your phone, through your browser, into your email, onto like Matrix, Discord, Slack, whatever. And it will be easy to, even for you, to create your own plugins, because again, it will be open source and API will be simple.
Yes, but will it be written in 1989 compliance C?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's Golang.
Well, then I'm not interested. Anyways, cue the music. Hey guys, welcome to No Tux Loud. I'm your host Josh, and today I'm wearing a white t-shirt. And I'm also not an AI deepfake. Not this time at least. Because, and the one way you can know that for sure is that Bigpod is here to verify.
Yeah. He at least appears to be real, and his responses seem to be succinct and definitely not full of M dashes.
That's definitely true. So, Bigpod?
What?
Since,
are you marveling at my diarrhea brown t-shirt, maybe?
Well, I was for a while there. Because, we've been talking for at least about an hour or two now. But, since, a lot of our chat was concerning artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
Did you know that according to a recent study, half of U.S. adults are now actively using chatbots?
I didn't know that, but I'm not surprised.
In fact, it's to the point where a third of them say that they have a smart speaker, or a doorbell or a thermostat with AI features that
great.
they make use of daily.
Oh, great!
Some of which even have deep and intimate conversations with AI as well. About 1 in 10 report that.
Huh.
However, the majority are also skeptical of AI and have a rather negative opinion on any chance of the AI having a positive impact on them. So at least they're making use of it, but they're still being fairly cautious about the chatbots.
Huh. I also have fairly deep conversations with AI, but most of them go on the front of what if this happened when this happened. Let's talk about cybersecurity, military, and so on. the things I cannot talk with anybody else because, well, who else is interested in effects of hybrid warfare onto civilian population when doing cyber warfare?
Yeah, well, this report is actually fairly detailed, and because it was done by the Pew Research Center, we can actually read the full report without having to buy a scientific journal.
Ooh.
I've got it linked in the show notes for everybody. They had the entire report in a PDF file on the right side. Right side, you can download it and read it. That's the full raw report. But if you don't care to actually, read the raw report, they do a fairly good summary of it, which is what I actually have linked. But
Nice.
anyways, they're saying that, of course, they've even broken down which models that they're using. ChatGPT is the most popular one.
Of course.
But Google Gemini, once they were told about it and how proliferate Gemini is in the Google's ecosystem stack, that they find that is number 2, followed by Copilot and Meta AI.
Makes sense.
Which I found kind of interesting that Meta AI was even on the chart.
Yeah.
Which kind of but I guess it kind of makes sense because here in America, people still largely use Facebook as like a social media platform. I don't know what it's like over in Europe. But
it is more for like groups of people, but not like normal like just person to person.
But yeah, they also said that Americans also do likely say that the chatbots tend to help rather than actually hurt productivity. 3 in 10 say that they actually use chatbots to basically improve their productive rate. The rest of them basically said that their occupation doesn't really see any benefits from the chatbot because they work in like physical labor or stuff like that.
Yeah, makes sense.
But they've also asked questions about AI-enabled smart devices. Now, when they're talking about AI-enabled smart devices, it gets a little weird here because they're counting in like the standard voice assistants that we used to have as well in this data. Yeah. So like your smart speakers and like the Google Assistant app that you can still get you can still use on some devices.
Yeah.
And they've also got a cheeky little thing here about saying that 4 in 10 U.S. adults say that they have a smartwatch, which I find interesting because I don't see a whole lot of watches myself anymore.
Yeah. But I think smartwatches kind of blend in.
Yep. And
like, people don't wear them normally. That's something I noticed. But a lot of them wear them when they are either at sports events or they are like working like in public, so they don't have to pull out their phone, or they wear them for special occasions when they're like dressed up and if they don't have like a proper watch, they put on a smartwatch just to have a watch to complete the ensemble.
Yeah. I mean, I can still like see uses to like have a watch for anything of like telling time, but the nature of my job is that I'm wearing gloves like all the time, and it's kind of hard to wear a watch when your glove goes halfway up your arm.
Yeah,
So I don't typically wear a watch at work, and then most of my other time I spend at home, where I got plenty of clocks around me.
Yeah,
So
like
I don't really actively use a watch much myself. That said, 1 in 5 do report that they use a smart doorbell, like one of those
interesting. Ring
like a Ring
doorbells.
video camera doorbell,
Yeah,
or
or
like
whatever
alternatives to that.
Ubiquiti puts out.
Yep. But the vast majority have said that they use AI search engine summaries.
Oh, no
Specifically,
thanks.
6 in 10 just openly admit it. 3 in 10 say that they do not. 1 in 10 say that they just read the summary.
Interesting.
Well, another 10% just basically said that they're not even sure.
Yeah.
But Americans generally predict that AI will be just bad rather than good. That's like the big thing. So overall, it seems that people are just using AI because it's there and it's free. But
Yeah.
they don't like what it's doing, which I can understand. Now, for some clarity, when I read like this article, the first thing I did was open up Gemini on my computer just to look at like all my various chat logs. You know what my most asked about things for Gemini are?
What?
It's really, really easy. So it's
it's
the
anything
days.
with Pathfinder.
It is the day's weather, generating encounters for my Pathfinder sessions, because it's just easier to ask them to do that rather than me trying to scroll through like archive of Nethies myself, which I can do, but Gemini can do it faster. or getting some clarifications on rules for Warhammer, because I'm still new to that game. When you're new, you have to get things explained to you, because some of the rulings in the game are a little weird.
Okay. So
that is basically all that I talk with the AI about. Although there was one conversation where I was trying to see if I could get AI to generate a meal plan for me, because I was just curious to see what I could generate off of like what I have had in my kitchen one week.
Yeah. Okay, so I just opened my Claude, which ironically for some reason is what I interface with more often. Whether
I mean, it's the one that you actively pay for, so of course you're going to use it.
I pay for a Claude and ChatGPT, so I could use ChatGPT as well. And technically speaking, I pay for Gemini as well, so really, I can use any of the three. The Gemini one is as a part of Google Workspace thing, whatever they call it nowadays.
Yeah. I mean, if you're paying Google Workspace, of course you're probably paying for Gemini in some form, whether you want to or not.
But here we go. It's Linux. It's some help with my old phone because it was doing something weird. It's server stuff. It's more server stuff. It's server stuff. Some research for the book I'm writing. And more server stuff. And yeah, then I'm talking with AI about military spending and stuff like that. Really, really weird things.
I mean, when you're asking AI about military spending, you're basically asking it to parse data that you don't want to parse yourself. So
yes,
that's kind of a functional use of data, as long as the data source that's indexing is actually somewhat up to date to give you an accurate number. That said, 2/3 of Americans do say it's advancing too fast. On the flip side, 2% say that's going too slow. And
Great.
1 in 5 think that it's advancing at just the right pace.
Okay.
With the rest remaining saying that they're just not sure. And of course, here's the big topic. 7 in 10 Americans predict that AI will make their personal information less secure,
Yeah.
while 3% say that their information will probably be more secure.
I am with those who think it will be less secure.
It depends. Because,
On people who maintain
first of all,
the data.
First of all, when we're talking about, like, security, Bigpod, we publish, our faces and our voices on YouTube.
So yeah, we're kind of screwed for deepfakes.
Yeah, we're compromised.
We're compromised in ways we don't even realize.
Yeah. And, I've maintained a Facebook account where I've done nothing but post very publicly. Every single post in there for over a decade now. So, I'm not secure at all.
Yeah.
I don't apologize about it because, it's intentional.
Yeah.
So, I'm kind of in the crowd where it's just like AI might make my information a little bit more secure depending on what information it is.
The problem isn't that information.
That said, I do think. Yeah, that said, I have seen all the reports and everything that say that of AI generated code projects, bringing in more security vulnerabilities than what they've actually fixed.
Yes, not just that. AI is getting better than humans at finding vulnerabilities.
Yes, we've actually talked about this.
I wouldn't say Mythos is that much better, like Anthropic is trying to tell us, but it is better. And that's scary to some.
Yeah.
Not to me. Because, let's be real, my ear has been a bit closer to the pipe in regards to vulnerabilities. So the actual stream hasn't actually gone that much more when it comes to actual vulnerabilities reported. We're just currently in the hall of time when certain attacks are getting reported and people put them as AI caused, even though it's very likely just just people finding a way to exploit security problems. We're talking about the whole NPM hacks.
Yeah. Now.
Yeah.
67% of Americans have said that they have no confidence that the U.S. government is capable of properly regulating AI, which I can kind of agree with, and that when it comes to trusting the businesses who develop the AI tools, 6 in 10 are not confident about the U.S. company's capability to actually develop and use the tools responsibly.
Yeah, I can bet that.
Yeah. So, that's our AI news of the week.
Yay.
Let's move on to a bit more dystopia, because, dystopia is always a fun topic to talk about.
Always.
Now, I am certain that Bigpod, you're a big fan of Polymarket and what's the other one?
Kalshi, I think.
Kalshi. Yeah. I can never remember that one's name extensively because Polymarket's the one that's been making all the headlines lately.
Yeah.
So those are prediction markets where people can just bet on something happening and make money off of it.
Or as I like to call them, take stock market and make it even more betting.
Yeah, so obviously it's any subject that people can bet on.
Yes.
So
also let's be clear, those kind of bets existed in the past. The difference is that they were all aware it was betting.
So anyways, Mark Zuckerberg has came out and said that he wants Meta, the company that runs Facebook, to develop its own Polymarket-like smartphone app. So their own prediction market. And this one's a bit interesting because sources that have discussed it, discussed this tool, which is currently called Arena. This is an internal name, and it might be subject to change, by the way.
Yeah.
But it is experimental, but listed as a top priority for the company. And it weirdly doesn't involve actual money.
So, video game.
Yeah, instead it's currently... the current implementations are using a points system. So you put up points, and betting correctly on particular topics can get you more points because, well, you're gambling with the points now instead of actual cash.
Yeah.
So, but they did say that money could be added later. Now, bear in mind, these predictive markets, as they like to call themselves, or, gambling sites, as I like to call them,
Yeah.
have spiked a lot of legal cases. With some U.S. states suing the current companies about breaking gambling laws and so on, and
breaking gambling laws, breaking
high-ranking
stock
officials
market
leaking
laws,
information, insider trading and all that.
Insider trading,
Yeah,
what they call black edge and so on. Those problems.
Yeah, so be wary Googling this information because it's a bit cancerous and it's a bit political. So we just figured we'd give you that warning right there. But we've also basically told you all the information that we have about it. But anyways, it is time to initiate Valve Watch.
Yeah.
And of course, editor Bigpod put in a big loud steam whistle right now because we have the Steam machine.
Yes.
It's finally almost here.
Yes. And
it's not finally here.
Expensive.
It's almost here. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Valve has just randomly listed the Steam machine available for possible pre-order.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, this is an invitation-based pre-order system. Basically, you sign up on a list, and then they will just randomly draw names from that list to file pre-orders, of which you can order up to 4 models. Now, I don't know if you only get one of those 4 models, but you can.
Yeah.
Or
you
if
only get
you get 4
those.
machines. Yeah, you can select from 4 different models.
It's basically all 4, but you will get the biggest one you selected.
Yep.
So basically, pick the one you want, not the one you think, because it's not how it works.
Yeah. So of these 4 models, it's really just 2 different models, Steam machine itself, and then 2 more options with the controller.
Yep.
Yeah. So you're getting the semi-customized CPU of an AMD Zen 4 CPU with 6 cores and 12 threads. With a semi-customized dedicated GPU that uses an AMD RDNA 3 architecture. 16 gigs of DDR5 RAM with 8 gigs of GDDR6 video memory. That's how we know that's a dedicated GPU.
Yep.
A 512 gigabyte SSD with, of course, a micro SD card slot for expansion. It has modern day Wi-Fi with modern day Bluetooth and a gigabit Ethernet port, which makes sense because, well, this is a game console.
Yeah.
It also has the Steam controller wireless adapter integrated inside it, which is, now that I think about it, as advertised. I was going to say a bit interesting, but I remember they actually advertised that.
They said that they will do that.
Yep.
Initially.
And it's a small little 6-inch cube.
Yeah, 6 by 6 by 6.
Yeah, that's basically all the hardware specs that they listed. Now, your model options is purely based on disk size.
Yeah.
So you can either get a 512 gigabyte disk or a 2 terabyte disk for storage.
And it's solid state disk and NVMe.
Yep. Now, personally, I would get the 2 terabyte one if I was actually going to, have more than 4 video games installed.
I would get 512 gigabyte one.
I mean, I would too, personally. But if I didn't have, a 62 terabyte array that already held my entire Steam library.
For me, the catch is I don't care about having that many games installed.
I mean, that too.
If I
That
do
too.
care, if I would use it as a console, because I can't play 64 terabytes worth of games at the same time. I play 1 or 2 games, then I can download a new one and delete an old one which you won't be playing.
Yeah. So, our pre-order price is
$1,050.
Yeah, $1,050 US.
Yes.
Which is not that far off of what I predicted.
Yeah, neither is far off what I predicted.
Yeah, it's not what we wished.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
realistic.
It is a very realistic number, of which we will describe why that's a very realistic number shortly. Now, this is running SteamOS 3, so the operating system we all expected Valve to run, because Valve's been on a bit of an anti-Microsoft kick, especially lately. But so obviously it doesn't come with Windows.
Yeah.
But here's a fun little fact for you. If you look at the Steam Machine product page and you scroll down to where they're talking about the form factor, they do have an actual banana for scale.
Yep.
Yeah. Just to let you know, because I just randomly scrolled past it, and it's got a little fancy light bar in front of it where I wonder how programmable that light is.
It's 17 programmable LEDs. You can do with them whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah.
They already They already said that you can do whatever you want. You can program them.
I forgot about that.
Whatever. They have some pretty interesting basic configs, but if I remember correctly, you can do whatever you want with them.
Yeah. But there's also been a bit of a big SteamOS announcement lately too. Because Valve said that, hey, with the SteamOS 3.8 release, it's ready enough for general hardware. So we can build our own Steam machines.
Now, Josh, we need to go back. You skirted over this, but why is that price completely okay?
So
$1,050 price point.
We cannot really generate an exact one-to-one match off of just hardware that for computers that we can build. However, we can get equivalent enough devices.
Yeah.
So, Bigpod and I went through. I shopped my local Micro Center and, just used their product selection to price out a bunch of parts for me. And I came out to a price of $1,035. I'm just going to call this right now a possibly worse machine.
Yeah.
Because
Go ahead.
So let's talk about the hardware that I've got here, right? I have a Ryzen 5 7600X CPU.
Which is possibly better. Which is not possibly, it is slightly better. But realistically, it's in the core. It's not in the core count. It's in the clock and boost clock world. Plus, this has a iGPU as well.
Yeah. That said, I'm perfectly fine with an iGPU because if you want to cheap out a little bit and not buy the GPU right now and save a little bit of money right now, you can get a much cheaper system because the GPU is money. And the AMD integrated graphics are not that bad actually.
Yeah, but they're still not DGPUs.
I mean, it's not as good as a Steam machine, so I built hardware equivalent. And I found a motherboard that has Wi-Fi on it. I don't know how good the Wi-Fi is, but it's got Wi-Fi.
It's Wi-Fi 6E, so it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Personally speaking, if you want to also budget out, you can just buy a significantly cheaper motherboard without Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Significantly cheaper, like $100 cheaper.
But we want it to be equivalent to the Steam machine as much as we wanted. And
Yeah,
one of the big things it has Wi-Fi 6 card in it.
it certainly does. Now, here's the big distinction, right? Because of the CPU motherboard that we picked, we're using DDR5 memory.
Yeah.
Now, if we picked a different generation CPU, or even just an AM4 that ran on an AM4 socket, and used DDR4, we could have found memory for half the price. But
yeah,
I literally
or not, depending on the region, depending on so many factors. Because I've read that price of DDR2 is being impacted in the second-hand market.
Yeah,
because of this.
Because
people are buying everything.
Yeah, it's an interesting fun fact to learn. Now, but anyways, I pulled the cheapest, like legitimately the cheapest DDR5 stick, or like DDR5 anything, and just put that in this cart, which happens to be 16 gigs. So, I'm gonna call that an equivalent. Now, the big difference here is that the Steam machine's probably still gonna have faster memory, because I don't know if it's gonna be like a DRAM stick or if it's going to be soldered onto the chip. If it's soldered, it's going to be faster.
It's SODIMM, so it's a laptop RAM.
Yeah, but I imagine that laptop RAM is probably going to be a lot more optimized than these sticks that I found.
I'm not sure. I think they are pretty basic.
Yeah, we'll probably find out when this product actually reaches physical hands.
Yeah.
And then I pulled the cheapest reasonable GPU I could find for a dedicated gaming system. Now, personally, I probably would have put an Intel Arc GPU in this just because I'm an Arc fanboy. But I live in a world. If this is for people that like to play their video games, I can understand there's some benefits to not having the Arc GPU, because you want to be able to make use of like those DirectX libraries that Intel decided they're not going to develop driver support for, and so on. But I found a Radeon RX 7600. It's the card that I put in here is one of those slightly overclocked ones, but it's also the cheapest reasonable one. And then I went to Micro Center store brand where I could. So like the solid state NVMe disk. Yeah, it's 512 gigs and it's $95, but it's also store brand. The inland drives actually aren't that terrible. They don't have a DRAM cache, so you're going to suffer some performance loss. But if you're playing video games, you don't need the world's fastest write storage. You just need it to be able to read fast. And then I found the cheapest case. It's a micro ATX case, which my board's also micro ATX, so it just works. My CPU does not come with a heatsink, so I had to buy a heatsink. So I bought the Cooler Master Hyper 212 air cooler, which is a model that's been around forever, and it's been solid forever.
Yeah.
But I also elected to spend $10 more, so I didn't buy the version with RGB. And of course, I have fallen for the idea of the thermal pad rather than thermal paste. It's just cleaner. Yeah. So I bought a thermal pad because, it was 50 cents more expensive than, the thermal paste. And of course, my case did not ship with cooling fans either. So I elected going with the idea that this is a console device, which you're probably going to stick in a TV stand and, just forget about it. You probably want some additional cooling fans on it, because the case doesn't come with any. So the only fans on the system are what's on the CPU heatsink and the GPU. We probably want a little bit more than that, so I pulled in some cheap 120mm fans as well. Just put those in the front of the case.
Okay.
Overall, that comes to a grand total of $1,035, which is cheaper than Valve. But we also told you ways that you can modify this as well. Probably come out with a bit of a better system.
Yeah.
And of course, Bigpod, you're in Europe. So let's talk about the European prices here with the European market. What did you find?
So I went with my local web retail, essentially Slovenian Amazon, essentially, mimo vrste. They have actually pretty good prices. It came out a total of 1,011 euros, as opposed to 1,040 euros for base Steam machine. So I picked out a Gigabyte B840M Wi-Fi 6 motherboard.
Which I imagine that if you bought the motherboard without Wi-Fi, it would also be significantly cheaper.
Yes, it was 148 euros.
Yep.
Then I found a really cheap pair of RAM for only 80 euros.
That's kind of impressive.
Yes.
It's not a used set, is it?
Kingston Fury Beast. It's
okay.
Web retailer. I went with AMD Ryzen 5 7600X, which is about 164 euros. And
yeah, so it's like the same GPU that I found, it's just different brand.
Same CPU, same GPU, just different brand, with GPU being 7600 by XFX, and was 271 euros. Now, where we get far apart is my case is Intertech, and it was 25 euros. With cooler 32 euros, it was Be Quiet Pure Rock 3, and I also needed a fan, so I picked Be Quiet Lightwings LX for almost 19 euros.
Yeah.
Now, and I could get cheaper ones, but I was like, I was intentionally picking parts that I would buy, not just cheapest prices I could get. I was picking parts I personally would buy. That was the rule I made for myself. Parts that I would buy. Now, the last piece of the puzzle, because you cannot do anything without electricity, is Corsair RME Series RM750E, a semi-modular power. I believe it's semi-modular power supply for 136 euros.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just to let you know, I pulled up your case. I think I came up with the better looking case. With my Cooler Master case, has like that acrylic side panel too, so you can see into the system and see all the non lit up computer. Yeah. You know, I've never been into like the LED craze in like PC building. Yeah.
Now,
but you've got a very old school looking box.
Yeah. Just a box. Literally just a box. Now we need to talk about what is the problem with our builds. Because there is a significant problem we need to think about.
They're bigger.
First of all, they're bigger. Which means if you want to make a small box, now you need to modify those components. You need to stick them together in a way that Valve spent months figuring how. So what you need to do, you need to add, I don't know how many hours for you to build, for you to make sure it works, your machine, so you can even think about the realistic price of it. And yeah, when the price of the hardware for us to buy is about the same, I don't think it's actually that problematic that it is 1050 or 1040 in case of Europe.
Yeah, like we're more or less in that budget range.
Yeah.
Now, they had the benefit of scale-based manufacturing off of a very small range of SKUs. Unlike us, so we're paying an additional tax on that.
They make some profit. Yep. Oh no! It's a company. It's gonna make a profit. Gonna want to make a profit. Oh no! I'm so hurt.
But you know, if you've already got like an old gaming PC, just plug it into your TV.
Yeah.
You can install SteamOS on it, or you can just install Bazzite,
Yeah. Now,
which is also a very popular option.
now I'm gonna tell you 3 benefits for Steam machine over an old PC. First one, of course, is the size. Second one is silence and low power usage, which they come together because, since the CPU and GPU are laptop CPU and GPU, means they use less power, produce less heat, which means fan need to do less work, which also means less power pool from your plugs. And the last one is HDMI CEC.
Yeah, for the record, we've talked about CEC before, but that's basically the thing that says when you turn on the Steam machine, it should also turn your TV on, assuming your TV supports it.
Yeah.
Which,
if you have an IPTV box or some sort of set-top box, when you turn on your set-top box, TV comes on as well. That's very likely CEC that's doing it.
yep. Which, now that I have a TV that supports CEC, it's been kind of cool because I turn on my PlayStation, it turns the TV on straight to the PlayStation input.
Yeah.
Same with like my Blu-ray player, my Nintendo Switch, and I'm out of ports on the TV. So.
And another thing that is like, we have an IPTV box. I can control volume of the TV through the remote from the IPTV box.
Yep.
I don't need to have a separate remote, and I can even do some stuff on the TV through that remote. That's all CC.
That said, you've been able to do that for years technically with like a standard universal remote. However, this is a bit of a cleaner solution.
Yeah.
Just a bit.
I don't have to set up. First of all, the TV, the set-top box needs to support universal remotes, which if it's using Bluetooth, it isn't. Like the remote I am using, because it has voice control. Also, you need to have an IR blaster, which if it's using some sort of radio waves, maybe not Bluetooth, but some sort of RF, it might not have IR blaster.
Yep. So, anyways, it turns out that the Steam machine, it's pricey.
Yeah.
But it's not completely unreasonable, and honestly, spending $1,000 for a computer with those specs, like a basic computer, that's a reasonable like daily use computer too.
There is one other problem: console prices.
That is true.
People think of this as a console, when at the same time consoles cost half or almost half, with the base model of PlayStation in my country costing $600.
Yeah. Now, Lighted, we saw like a PlayStation price increase here in the United States.
Yeah.
But we can have an argument about this, because if we look at the cost of running a console, let's just say that I buy.
So Josh, you want to talk about TCO, total cost of ownership, correct?
Yeah. So let's just say that I buy a PlayStation 5 on release day, and I like playing my video games and I like playing with my friends, which means that I'm also subscribing for at least the essential package of PlayStation Plus at $10.99 a month.
Yes.
Now, if I keep up with the PlayStation, and we'll just say that I buy maybe not a completely unreasonable amount of video games, but I'm also buying video games per year, a set amount. So we'll just do like 6 games a year for the PlayStation. We'll do the same math with the Steam machine as well.
Yeah.
But we already imagine that if you know what we're talking about when we say Steam and machine,
Yes.
There's going to be a price difference right there.
Yes.
So, anyways, let's talk about this PlayStation. Over the cost of 5 years,
Yeah.
assuming that, I'm paying prices for like these video games, which the cheapest games that I find on PlayStation, even when they're on sale, is roughly $25.
Yeah.
So if I'm buying 6 games per year and keeping my subscription for PlayStation Plus active while also buying the full price of a PlayStation for $600, and maybe there's going to be a replacement controller in there at some point too, because controllers do go bad.
Yeah.
At some point, I'm probably spending way more than I would have for a Steam machine.
5 years of playing online costs as much as another PlayStation. Base model.
Just the PlayStation Plus subscription. Now,
yes.
On the flip side, for the Steam machine, it's free.
Yes.
If you have an internet connection, you're not really
you have internet.
Yeah, you just have to have internet.
Also, games are cheaper not just because of sales, but because games are cheaper on PC because there is no console tax. Like the same game will on Steam or in a physical store where you buy for PC be sometimes even 20-30% cheaper than the same copy, than the same game for PS5, Xbox, or something like that, because there is, on top of the actual price of the game, console cut.
Yeah. That said, the biggest benefit of the Steam machine that the PlayStation cannot have is that the Steam machine is a bog standard x86 computer.
Yes.
Which
let's be clear.
You know what that means? You know what that means, Bigpod?
I can take that SteamOS and say shove it up your behind, plug a USB in, and install Bluefin, Bazzite, or whatever the hell I want.
Or whatever operating system of choice. It doesn't even have to be Linux. It can even be Microsoft Windows. Or, FreeBSD if you're in that crowd.
Yeah.
BSD has amazing AMD support. Yeah. But, we can keep that Steam machine running. And, even if it has hardware failures, it's an x86 computer. Probably quite a few of the parts we can just swap ourselves.
Yeah.
So
and even if you don't, even if let's say machine works, first of all, Valve has an excellent support. So warranty time you're covered. They're probably gonna be once again working with iFixit for replacement parts and all that. So that should be again an easy source. But the most important part, if the machine works past the 5 years of that lifetime and you want to replace it, guess what? Throw it next to your storage server and have it do some compute duty. It's going to work great as that.
It's also going to work great as like a media center PC.
Yeah.
Because it's got that HDMI CEC. It's got like that. You can add websites as applications in Steam Big Picture mode, which means that you can put Netflix and YouTube on there. So you have access to that.
And if you're okay with remote gaming, the performance of the machine won't matter as long as it is performant enough to do a decode of a video stream.
Yep. Which is something that, I've looked into. Yeah. But, it turns out that, it's got hardware accelerated video decode, so of course it can.
Of course.
Which means that it can play back a 4K video stream, which, in 5 years might actually, just be a usable standard across the board. Who knows? We might not have to use anything like DLSS. Yeah. But at the same time, this is going to be like a computer that we might see people talk about like 10 years from now. And it might just randomly show up in like a support thread, going like, "Hey, I have this computer and I'm having issues with this driver. Can we get this looked into?" Because that still happens for 32-bit computers. I could see it totally happening for a Steam machine.
So,
but
Josh,
Yeah.
since we're running a bit low on time, I'm gonna post you to a question. Are you still gonna buy Steam Machine?
So, here's my final answer to this. And it's based off of, my video game usage just this year. Do you know how many hours of Baldur's Gate that I've clocked just in this year?
No, I don't know.
2.
Great.
That's also the only video game that I fired up this year.
Interesting.
So, I have to come around to the question of, because it's also coming around to the point in time where it's just like I'm considering like a new desktop computer build, because I try to keep it on like a 3-ish year cycle. Do I buy a Steam machine or do I build just a new desktop computer?
Okay.
That's really the question. I've also got like multiple mini PCs, spare laptops running around that I could just spin up and plug into the TV and have like a remote streaming computer. And the computer that I'm using now can just be spun up and set up as like a video game streaming server, and I can just do all that through like Moonlight and Sunshine. So, am I going to buy a Steam machine? Not right now.
Okay.
But the other devices like a Steam Deck. If I was more of a video game player, I'd probably buy a Steam Deck. But
even with the price increase.
Yeah, even with the price increase, I'd probably still buy one. But the Steam Frame is probably like the most interesting console device for me. And that's only because, I want to play around with the VR stuff. That's really it.
Okay.
Obviously, I did buy the Steam controller. I have it. It exists. It works.
Okay.
Turns out that, I kind of like my goalie kick controller a little bit more. just, I'm just openly admitting that. But I do have the Steam controller. It's a video game controller.
Okay.
It's got some fancy button placements.
Sure. Now, for me, now that answer is a bit more complicated. I am on the wait list.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm gonna buy it.
Which some people might point to question to, why did you even bother signing up on the wait list? Well, thankfully, you have a limited time to, place your order.
Yes, you have limited time, and just like with Steam Deck, you could say no, I will not be ordering it right now, which is what I did when Steam Deck came out, and I didn't have disposable cash to do it. But the real reason I am on the fence is, well, first of all, the money. Like, you won't get anything nearly as, like, for the same amount of money. Yeah, you can get some maybe even better system from what are essentially unknown brands with unknown support systems, no level of repute. Sure, but I'm asking, how the hell do those guys support those prices? Because I am wondering, how did they support those prices? Because it cannot be just that they get such a big volume discount. So Valve is a reputable brand when to brands go, I trust. They have a good support system. And yeah, it's a small, silent, low-power PC. Exactly what I'm looking for. To replace my laptop as a client for remote desktop infrastructure. The main client, to be specific.
Now, for your use case,
perfect.
because you're also using primarily remote desktop, I posed a question to you. Do you really need the performance of the Steam machine then?
Yes.
You can just buy like an Intel NUC.
Yeah. Problem is getting one of those devices.
Yeah.
At a price point, like any store I would buy from, basically the price points are completely
Right.
shot. Like,
Right.
for me to reliably get a mini PC, if I go to any of the like local or Slovenian uh, places to buy, which is where I normally buy things, I have to either buy from Lenovo, HP, or Dell. All of their
Or
machines.
you buy used stuff from a business.
Yes. Again, one of those three brands. That's
Yep.
three brands. The big three when it comes to this stuff.
Well,
Either used
there
or...
is another brand. One that I'm not a big fan of, but it's called Apple.
Yes, that's the other one.
Yeah.
That's the number 4 I didn't mention.
It turns out that the Mac Mini is a thing that exists, and honestly, for your use case, it's something of consideration.
And it's a great price point, or should be great price point. Problem is that all the stores I normally would shop, like Mimo Verstel, like my standard electronics shop, Big Bang, the cheapest price for a Mac Mini I found, that is like the Mac Mini I would stomach, so the latest version and a new one, is 900 euros.
Which is cheaper than the Steam machine, but at the same time, it's really just the question of, do you want to spend 100 more euros to get a product that you probably support the company of a little bit more?
No, for me the question is, am I okay using for underlying infrastructure of my system an horrendous operating system like macOS?
Yeah.
And I just threw up a little bit in my mouth, because I don't know how the hell they can make such an atrocious operating system like they do.
I have a theory behind that, Bigpod.
I don't have one.
Obviously, there's going to be an audience member who's a Mac fanboy. They just exist in random corners like this. However, let me make it clear: if you've only ever used Apple products, you're going to have a good opinion of them, because that's all you've ever used. Now, Bigpod and I, we have made use of different operating systems, different desktops on those operating systems, and we've dealt with many generations of looking at Microsoft. So we have experienced the different workflows of our desktops, and we have opinions, just like you have an opinion. So before you go trash talking Bigpod, just keep that in mind.
Yeah.
So obviously Mac OS does have its issues. It's also got some rather glaring bugs from what I've heard too.
Also, yes.
It kind of makes me wonder why they're shipping it. But at the same time, Microsoft also has bugs too. And just like, I ran a Microsoft VM for about 2 months, and I got very sick and tired of my taskbar crashing. Like, why does that crash? Oh, it's a web app. Why?
Yeah. Well, when you get used to macOS's idiosyncrasies, they get a lot easier, of course, but they're still dumb. They're dumb settings, which many of them you cannot change, because it's an operating system made to control you, not you control it.
Yep.
Which goes well in hand with everything else Apple does.
So
now is macOS worth the 150 euros that I have to pay more to Valve for Steam machine? That's the question I have to ask myself.
I'll be honest with you, Bigpod. I don't mind spending $150 on an operating system.
Yes, me neither.
Yeah. So anyways, if you would like to share your opinion on whether or not you're going to buy a Steam machine, you can send us an email to contact@tuxbase.com. That email works. Just saying. I haven't received an email from there for a minute though, so it might not be working, but I think it works. It
Yeah,
should
neither
work.
have I.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Been curious. We'll have to try that. Maybe it's not working, and we'll make it work, and then we'll get a flood of emails from viewers or more people just trying to get publicity on our show without realizing how small our show is. But I would like to talk to that safe guy again because he was a pretty cool guy to talk to. But anyways, you can also talk with each other at our official Discord. Just go to tuxbase.com/discord, and that will send you the invite link to our Discord server. That way we don't have to pay Discord to have Discord generate that, because we don't see why we need to pay for that. We've also got a Matrix space as well, which the link for that is in the show notes. I'm not going to tell you to click that link because if you use Matrix, you know how to use that.
Yeah.
And of course, we have our own YouTube channels. Yours is a bit more active than mine.
Yeah.
That said, I've been thinking about pivoting lately on YouTube myself.
Really?
Yes, just pivoting.
To what?
I don't know yet. But I've been really digging into the Warhammer thing lately. I don't know if I'm going to change to like a Warhammer like YouTube channel, but I might just start putting like gaming content back in there again too. Just because I've always enjoyed having a variety of content.
Yeah.
But anyways, also it's just like I have no real drive to make like the Linux videos. I understand that's the kind of stuff that like made my channel a bit bigger, but I just don't want to do it. As much fun as like distro hacking it can be sometimes. It's just like the distro hacking topics, and you could probably tell from like if you watch the stream, I don't have the most fun in the world. Because we can only install Gen 2 so many times.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's it for the show today. We're out of here.
Goodbye.